Hello guys, welcome to another episode of one-on-one interviews about physical performance. Today I'm in Canary Islands in Tenerife, which is the largest island of these Canary Islands. And for you who don't know where Canary Islands are located, it's very close to Africa, basically very close to North Africa. So in order to travel from Spain, it takes between 2 or 3 hours, depending if you go from north of south. We came today from the north, and we flew for 3 hours, but it's still Spain because Canary Islands belong to Spain and Tenerife plays ACB league. So today I have here with me Xisco Sanz, strength and conditioning coach of Tenerife basketball, who has been with the team for last 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
7 years with the team. So a lot of experience in elite basketball, especially in the last 5-6 years. Tenerife is doing really good job. In ACB, usually you are among top 10, top 12 teams, very often in top 8. In 2017, you won Basketball Champions League, which was great success for the team. So I think like it's a really important success for overall Spanish basketball. We both know that all Spanish team play incredible basketball when it comes to first division, and even though you travel to some place where the team is position 16 on the table, you can lose easily, right? So it's every game is basically tough. So I mentioned on purpose that we traveled for 3 hours from Spain with direct flight, because one of the topics in the main part of this interview is going to be related to traveling, because I know that basically out of all of the teams who compete in Europe, probably the teams from Canary Islands are the most affected by traveling. Now we have Tenerife, who plays Basketball Champions League, and we have Gran Canaria, who played EuroLeague last year, 2 years ago Euro Cup. This year they have a break from European competitions, but I know that it was also very tough for them and very challenging to travel. So I'm really looking forward to talk with Xisco, because in the first part, you know that we're gonna go through these more or less typical questions that I like to ask all of my guests. But in the main part, we will cover 4 main topics. We're going to talk about traveling, as I said. We're going to talk about stability. We're going to talk about strength, and we're going to talk about periodization, especially periodization during the season. So let's dive into it, because I'm really looking forward to hear your answers. One simple question that I really like to use before we start. I know quite a lot about you, but I would like you to tell us a little bit about your path, about this not only the last 6-7 years, but how you started your career as a strength and conditioning coach. One thing I forgot to say, that even though today we are in Tenerife, we are not in the arena where you play. We are in your center that you run here pretty well, pretty successful. This center is not enormous, but it's a perfect size that you basically need for athletes. I really like it. Later I'm gonna record a video or photos just to show a little bit how it looks like. For me, it's perfect. It has everything what you need from the equipment. We saw downstairs you have the medical department, upstairs some offices for the coaches. So I really like the place. It's called Red is the name of the rehab center, and it's like sports center for physical preparation. So this is basically what Xisco made with his own bare hands, the center. And we can also talk a little bit about how you decided to run this center, because you started with the center much quite before you joined Tenerife as a basketball team. So please tell us a little bit about your
First
background.
of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here. It's a little bit strange because it's an invitation, but you are at my house. Okay. but it doesn't matter.
It depends on the schedule, because if we would play the first game in Vitoria, I would invite you to my place. So
For sure.
it's just the calendar.
Yeah. So I studied in Madrid. When I finished my studies, I did a master degrees in sport performance, also in Madrid, in the Spanish Olympic Committee. And after that, I start working as a strength and conditioning coach of some clubs here in the island, but mainly with young people. Young people, and at the same time I was working in a school, but I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do. So I decided to start with my business that you have talked about it some minutes ago, and at the same time I did another master degree that changed my point of view about training. It was in Barcelona, sport performance in team sports, and when I started with my business, at the same time I started with a professional basketball team here in Tenerife, but it was not a very good experience because we had a lot of problems with money, no payments, and it was very tough for me to work there and at the same time being working here. So after this experience, I decided to leave basketball at all, and I started as external assessor with football teams, football players, and also with professional tennis players. I was there. I was working for 4 or 5 years, and in the summer of 2013, Alejandro Martinez, the coach of Iberostar Tenerife at this moment, called me, and we had some meetings to try to get an arrangement for being a strength conditioning coach of the team.
Perfect. And then from there on,
this is my 7th season there, I think.
Is it hard to run 2 businesses, like to work with a team and to run the business here?
At the beginning, it was easier because I didn't fly with the team. So I just have to be here in the island. I had to go to the games here at home, but I don't travel with the team. So it was easy. Right now, it's harder. It's much harder. But the good thing is that now this is running. It's running good. The business is running good. So I have here some colleagues that works with me that they have all my confidence. So that I think that is the key of the success of this place.
Perfect. That's very important. I wanted to ask you. You have been now with the team like for 6-7 years, and ever since you joined Iberostar Tenerife, you didn't stop. What does it take to be at the top for these 6-7 years, consecutive years? Because you can change coaches, you can change. Grab the phone. Is it mine or yours? Grab it. We have time.
Esta es mi madre.
Madre
no hay más que una.
Es lo más importante. Vale. Genial. So I wanted to ask you, what does it take to stay at the high level for 6-7 years in a row? Because you can change coaches, a lot of players change, even sometimes club management. I know that a lot of things belong to knowledge, of course, because you have to have your own knowledge regarding our field. But I want to know a little bit more also about the social skills, because I think it's something that it's crucial, maybe even the most important thing, and not many people mention it. So I would like to hear your point of view.
I don't know how I could stay here or I can stay here for 6 years, but I think that there is a very important thing is that I want to improve day by day or every day. And for that, I think that knowledge is very important, but not only the knowledge, is even more important, how do you explain, how do you show your knowledge. It's important to show your knowledge to your players. So that now we're talking about also social skills.
Yes, of course. How do you deliver your knowledge with your words, with your passion, with excellent. I really like the point.
Yeah, but not only with the player. Also, you have to get the confidence from your coach, because you can change a coach each year, each 2 years or whatever. So you have to get his confidence.
And that is even more like tough than talking to players, because players really want the help, but coaches sometimes they like to work on their own. And then
Totally agree. But I'm lucky because in the last years I have worked with 3 coaches that all of them allow me to make all my job. And also I could explain them how I work, what to do, and they almost all the times got my advice.
So when it comes to, just to be clear, because strength and conditioning work can cover so many fields, but then on the other hand, with some head coaches, your job or responsibilities can be just like minor responsibilities. So let's be clear, at this moment, what are your main responsibilities with the team? Strength training, of course.
Yeah, strength training. I do the planifications of the weeks, on almost all the season with the coach, and we talk a lot, because and even I try to give my opinion on the trips, because it's something very, very important. I think I have tell them that they should ask me about the trips, because we need to sleep, we need to eat, we need to rest, we need so many things, and we spend a lot of time in airports, planes, buses, or whatever. So now I'm not only a strength conditioning coach, I'm also works with the coaches day by day, and even I can organize the work with the assistants for personal development of the players.
Excellent.
This is I think that we are able to do it because we have studied for that.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like when it comes to professional basketball team, in the end, we realize that organizing strength and a little bit of conditioning is the easiest part of our work. But to organize and motivate everyone to do good recovery, to organize the trips, to talk with head coach, sometimes to talk with management of the club, it's so demanding that it takes time.
Now I'm lucky because the coach has a lot of confidence in me, because he said that we don't have injuries. We don't have small injuries. If we have an injury, we have the hardest one, because the last 2 years have been terrible. But we don't have sprained ankles, sprained knees, muscle tears. We are not used to have them. So I think that this is due to the confidence between all of us. Because if I say we have to stop this practice because it's too hard, or we have to rest tomorrow, or just doing a walkthrough, not a practice. Normally, a coach listens to me.
That's excellent. That's the most important thing, and that's where the confidence and satisfaction come from. You know, after someone listens to you, or you can at least share your ideas, and sometimes the whole idea will be accepted, sometimes just partially, but this is something that makes you happy every morning to go to your work. Because I know I speak with a lot of strength and conditioning coaches, and sometimes head coach comes and he wants to do everything on his own, and then they suffer after 2-3 months being with this kind of coach. They kind of lose a little bit of motivation to come to work. So I'm really happy for you that everything is going pretty well.
But I think that all of us can learn of each experience. We can learn from every coach.
Yes.
This is for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely, I agree 100% with you. The most important thing is that if you have coach who doesn't want to cooperate that much, that you don't have him longer than 1 season, you know, because if it's longer than 1 season, you're kind of suffering. But definitely you can learn.
But you learn from there how to act, how to do the things. You have to keep strong in your place, in your area, and you have to keep working with your players, because your players need your work.
Yes, definitely. But on the other hand, it's never going to happen that if coach doesn't need your opinion on everything, that he is going to forbid you from working. So probably you will stay with your strength sessions, with your warm-ups and preparations. The only thing is that they might not ask you too much about the periodization and some part of planning. So you can still bond with the players and deliver something regarding strength, regarding recovery, you know. And in the end, I believe that as a strength and conditioning guys, we should be always positive. So transmitting positive energy to the team is very, very important from our side. So it's another thing that we should.
Sometimes we are also psychologists.
Yeah. If you don't have one, very often you have to act like one.
Yeah. This is true. We are not psychologists, but so many times the players come to talk to you.
Yes, even though you don't ask anything, they come to you because they feel confident, especially on the road when we are traveling, when they have some issues, you know. So it's a very good point.
Another thing about the social skills, something that has happened to me, is when I arrived here to the club, where we had a very old weight room, we had a very old locker room, and I had some meetings with the bosses of the team and of the club, but we need to improve these things. We have improved the weight room, we have improved the locker room, we have now a bigger locker room with ice bath, with warm bath also. The physiotherapist area is beside the locker room. We have a video place also in the locker room. So I think this is all some things that we needed, and there is someone who has to tell them. Yeah, and I don't know if it's my job or not, but I think that they have to do it because it's the best for the team.
Yeah, definitely. I think every young or old strength and conditioning coach who comes to a new environment and sees that there is no equipment to work well, you know, at least basic things, you know, like barbell, kettlebells, dumbbells, I don't know. Okay, you don't have to go immediately for Kaiser that you have here, because for the amount that you pay for Kaiser, you can buy so many free weights and easy things, but some of the basic things should be there. And then if you don't have it, it's definitely, I think, your responsibility to talk in a kind way with club's management to make that investment. So not the first day, no, it's
not
going crazy about
2 or 3 years later.
Not be negative.
I ask for it.
Yeah, because sometimes you cannot blame club management because they don't have good facility, because they don't know. They don't know anything about it, so it's not their fault. You cannot go there first day when you get the job and you say, your gym looks horrible, you know.
Yeah, and also you have to explain why you need maybe the kettlebells or whatever, because it's something totally necessary for the teams. So in my area, it was the weight room. I had to ask for the things, and the weight room, maybe for the recovery and other stuff, but I think it's
they understood.
Yeah, they understood. You have to explain them why you need it.
Excellent. I always said, like, when I came to Baskonia, I was using a lot. I'm buying stuff for the future, for the next 5-10 years. It's not only for this season, it's investment for the future. But in the end,
but it's true.
Like the things that we bought, we made there, definitely some things are going to stay in the club for the next 20 years without any doubt. You know?
Yeah.
Most of the things will be there at least for 5 years, and some of the things for 20 years. But I think from a management point of view a little bit, they want to hear things like that. They want to hear future investments. Yeah. So those are kind of tricks how to get your equipment.
And we have to show them the way, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Okay, excellent. I also wanted to ask you, you said that you were studying in Madrid, and then you studied in Barcelona. You're coming from the island. But I know
no politics,
but definitely you know a lot of guys from our field all over Spain, especially because you said that you started to travel with the team, and a lot of coaches come here to play games. I mean, I'm in Spain for the last 3 years, and we are now like friends. And if you are 6-7 years in professional basketball, you know basically all of the guys from ACB, a lot of guys from the second division, you know. And I wanted to ask you what these relationships mean to you and connections with other strength and conditioning coaches. How often do you talk with your colleagues and so on?
For me, it's gold. Yeah, to have a meeting like we're having right now with another conditioning coach, not only from basketball, from other sports, it's very important. It's the way, I think it's the way that I have to learn, because during the season we cannot go assist to course, to congress or whatever. Yeah, it's impossible. We can go during the summer, but there are not during the summer. So this is the only way that I have, and I try to meet with them if the schedule allows us, almost with everyone from each team.
Perfect.
Yeah, for me it's Although it's true that nowadays we can use social media, YouTube or whatever to listen some conference or see some exercise or different things about recovery or working out, but
the personal contact
is different. It's different, yeah, because you can have. I can listen to you. You can listen to me. We can share or discuss the different. We have different opinions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And then what I like the most about the conversation is not like only the conversation itself, but what comes after the conversation. Once you leave,
the beer.
You separate the beer, of course, and then after the beer, if you go home or the next day, these things that you talked
keep in
about,
your mind, and you think
keep
about
your mind busy, you know, motivate you to do more things, different things, you know.
Yeah, it's for sure. I even have been with Juan Trapero from Real Madrid, with him during the summer, doing some works with Versapule, also with Diego from Malaga, and it's something that for me has been a very good experience.
Yeah, excellent. You mentioned 2 names that are on my list to do the interviews. I spoke already to Diego and with Juan Trapero. I'm going to talk on Sunday because we play next Sunday against Madrid at home. This week we have a very easy schedule. Yesterday Olympiacos, tomorrow we play against you. On Tuesday we go to France to play Asvel. On Friday we play at home against Bayern, and then on Sunday we play Madrid at home.
Great.
So it's gonna be a
soft
busy
week, eh?
Soft week, very soft, very easy. Excellent. Before we finish the first part, I wanted to ask you. It's a little bit personal question, but I think it's very important to know a little bit. How do you stay motivated to do every season, because the seasons are very demanding. We start pre-seasons in August, and then you start season in late September. You will play as a top 8 team. You will play until end of May, sometimes even June. It's tough. And now we spoke. You have 2 kids. You have your own private business. Summers you maybe want to improve, to go to some conferences or to see some friends, colleagues that you haven't seen for a while, but then your family says, hey, okay, you live in the island, which is good, but still, maybe your wife with kids, you want to go to see Europe, to see the world, vacations. How do you stay motivated to stay in the team?
Because I love what I do. It's not like a job, it's my hobby. Mm-hmm. That's why I keep my motivation. Also, I think that every season, every week, every day, every practice is a challenge for me. I like to give every day something different, something new for the players, for the coaches. Mm-hmm. And even or more this year, we are in the weight room. We are working a little bit different from the last years. That I think we are getting a really good work there. So I have one colleague from here, from my center, that is helping me. But also we have divided the work, a small general part, some specific work for big guys, small guys, mm-hmm. and then a specific work for each player. Mm-hmm. So this is, and we are looking every day a new exercise, new things to do with each player. This is what keep my motivation.
Excellent. So basically you're trying to be innovative within your job, to find some new things to upgrade from season to season, and this keeps you motivated. And in the end you help players, which...
And something, also reading. You read papers, you read books or whatever, and you see, I have to see that things that I have read. I want to learn about it. Mm-hmm. So you start looking for information to read, to learn about it, and then so now I'm gonna try what I have read.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, and this is previously you have to try not with a professional player, mm-hmm. maybe with yourself or with a colleague or something like this. But yeah, but it's I think. This is my motivation. I think I'm happy doing what I do.
Perfect.
So this is it's not it's my job, but it's not my job.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. That's really nice. I really like the answer. I mean, when you say we read a lot, and that's one of the possibilities definitely that we have. You can always grab the book or grab something on iPad and read about it. But what keeps you motivated is that once you read something interesting, and it looks like a piece of a puzzle that belongs to your methodology of work, to your philosophy, and you want to implement it in your work, you still don't know exactly how it's gonna fit in, because bridging the gap from the theory to practice is quite big, and this puzzle, when you put it on the table, it won't work the same way for one player and the other player. And then this is the most interesting thing, because the one thing that you learn, it can be completely different for different players.
But it's not only what you have learned, it's with everything. One workout that you one workout that a player does is not the same for another player.
Exactly.
Maybe
For one guy,
they
it's
feel
super
sore,
easy.
and the other one is perfect. So this is the chemistry of our work, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even more is that to get 1 point, you have different ways. It's not only one way. You can work different than me, but we can get the same results if I do another thing.
Yes. When you're talking about that, and Marcelinho Huertas, who was with us last 2 seasons, and now he's with your team, and this exchange of players made me think a little bit about answering myself. I asked myself a question, which later on I share with my colleagues, and I would like to hear also your opinion about it. But what I asked myself was, is it good for one professional player to change every 2-3 years strength coach? Because I honestly believe that it's good that one player, professional player, has one strength and conditioning coach that he has during his career, especially if we talk about the highest level, like in the NBA, they have their own guys who knows him so good, and then he will continue to work with him, like, I don't know, 5, 10 years, 15 years. And then there is definitely good side of having one coach. But then on the other hand, it made me think, and I tried not to be selfish, and then I realized that actually it can be very good if player changes his environment, but he changes from one good coach to another good coach who knows how to adjust to a new player. I think this new stimuli and new philosophy of work can actually be a great benefit for the plaer.
For sure.
You know, so
I think so also.
For me, like,
yeah.
it's very interesting.
It's what you have said, a different stimuli. I mean, it's the an example. You can work with dumbbells, and maybe we can do the same exercise, or I do the same exercise, but with Superband. It's a different stimuli for the player. So it's also this is one of my way of work. The different stimuli in a same exercise.
Yeah, perfect. And I think it's a good point also for strength and conditioning coaches who know that they will stay for many years with the club, which is pretty normal. For example, in ACB. In ACB, teams don't change very often strength and conditioning coach. You know, not so often. In some clubs, yes, but not so often. And then if they know that they have young guy who signed 5-6 years contract, maybe after 2-3 years they should think a little bit about changing, not too drastically, but changing quite a lot the philosophy and approach in order to give a new stimuli. It's just like one
very good question.
question.
Yeah,
You know?
it's a very good question, because also I think maybe for planification for 4 or 5 years, it's good to have only one strength conditioning coach.
Yes.
So it's a good question. Yeah.
I'm saying, like, you cannot take one side. Yeah. You cannot take one side. If you are open-minded guy, you cannot say this is the best or this is the best, especially because players will change their environments, and it's so normal. I mean, we see very often that some players stay for 5-10 years in one club, but majority of players
rotate a lot.
Clubs. So I think there are benefits on both sides.
For me, this year has been a little bit harder than years before, because every year before I had 6, 7, 8 players from the last years, mm-hmm. and now this year 12 new players. Yeah, 12 new players. So it's tough work to introduce them to your philosophy. Exactly. But when they get your philosophy, it's great. It's great, but because they start working and they don't stop.
There is a motivation, right?
Yeah.
New 12 players, You know, you have to stay motivated to deliver your work, to get their confidence, and then you start to work. You know, it's not like first day of the preseason. Let's go, guys. Let's do everything what I say. No. It's building trust, and then somewhere in October, November, they start to appreciate what you're doing. They start to see the effects of training and so on.
And that our work is totally necessary. Yeah, we are like firemen.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Perfect. Okay, so we are finishing this first part, and before we jump to the second part, let's take a short break to drink some water, and then we are coming back.
Okay, perfect.
Boys and girls, welcome back to one-on-one interviews with Xisco Sanz from Tenerife Basketball. We're in the main part of our interview, and as I said before, we're going to cover 4 main topics: traveling, stability, strength, and periodization. Quite many topics that probably we can talk about those topics for 2 days, not 2 hours, but we're going to try to be precise I'm going to try to be precise in the questions and you in the answers. So we already mentioned the challenges of traveling. We said that it's very tough, especially for teams from Canary Islands who belong to Spain. Both teams that play ACB play in European competitions. Okay, Gran Canaria not this season, but in the last 10 years I think they played European championships. I remember when we were measuring miles of traveling for our team. In one season we had around 65,000 miles traveled. Average NBA team has around 50,000 miles per season. One of the reasons why they have less than, for example, a Spanish team, which is in European continent, is that sometimes they do tours. They travel, they play 2, 3, 4 away games, then they travel back and they play more games at home. For us, it's, as Spanish people say, it's always pim pam. It's just traveling from east to west to Central Europe, and then as ACB team, you have to go at least 2 times during the season to Canary Islands to play Gran Canaria and Tenerife. But then completely different thing here with you. I remember that Gran Canaria, when we were measuring our mileage, calculating, in the middle of the season, strength and conditioning coach of Gran Canaria told me, we already reached in the middle of the season 60,000 miles. Close to the end of the season, they already reached over 100,000 miles traveled. It's huge challenge. It definitely leaves a major impact on players, and one of the reasons why I selected this topic as the first one is because we don't have so many guys who are so experienced with so much traveling and so long flights, especially because one major difference between NBA teams and European teams, especially in ACB, we don't charter. You know, we were lucky, for example, today that we had straight flight from Vitoria to Tenerife, which doesn't happen very often. It's basically seasonal type of flight, so summertime flight. So now I think in November they're gonna cancel the flight until spring or summer. So I want to hear a little bit at the beginning, what are the main challenges when it comes to traveling? I'm very happy that you have the right to be listened to when it comes to traveling from club management and head coach, because I think it's a very big responsibility of the strength and conditioning coach if it's possible. So I would like to hear at the beginning, what are the main challenges and what are the biggest problems that you have with such long travels, and what have you learned from traveling with the team?
First of all, I'm gonna show you some numbers about the media of last 3 years that we have played in Basketball Champions League also. We have had a media of 27 travels, 75 flights, 90 days away from home. It is 2.5 at home and 1 away, and 140,000 kilometers.
Kilometers?
Yeah.
140,000 kilometers. I don't know exactly now how much is it in miles, but it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. This is for sure, yeah. So, and the first thing that I point when we start playing in Europe is that we live 2,000 kilometers from Madrid, from the mainland. So we can start to fly to Europe from Madrid. So we start with 2.5 hours or 3 hours. Okay, so this is because we are located, or our geographical location is in the north of Africa, as you said. Yeah. So this is the first thing. So, and I had to manage what are the main things that we have to keep in mind to organize our travels for the recovery. Mm-hmm. First of all is sleeping or rest. Second is nutrition. Where do we eat? What can we eat? Mm-hmm. And these two were the main things. The third one was the hydration, because as you know, during the flight there are some dehydration. So one of the things that I tell to the guys is drink water each 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Each 30 minutes, drink a glass of water. So these are the main problems. So if we go to, so what I have to talk with the team manager or with the coach about the trips, I have tell them, if it's possible, try not to fly very early in the morning. Mm-hmm. Because we don't have charter, as you told me. Also, after a game, the players have some problems to get sleep. So I would like to that day sleep at least 8 hours, but so many times it's impossible. But we're trying to sleep at least 6 hours. Mm-hmm. So traveling during the morning or early in the morning, if it's possible, because it's not like a bus that the bus passes each 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. If it's possible, we want to fly after 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. This is one of the main things. Second things, nutrition, as I told you. So sometimes we have to eat or to get the meal in the airports, but we are trying to get some picnic here from the island, or some places in Madrid or Barcelona that bring us the picnic to the airport. And so we are trying to avoid also burgers, sandwich and pizza. So we are trying to get a more healthy and more for basketball food.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, this is some of the things that we are doing. Also, sometimes we have to spend a night in Europe or in mainland in Spain, and then and get another flight the next day. Mm-hmm. Because for us last year to get to Jerusalem was 28 hours. 28 hours. We had a flight from here to Barcelona, I think. We had the night there in Barcelona, and then we fly straight to Tel Aviv. Mm-hmm. So we because it's impossible to do it in a day. If you do it during the day, you cannot practice. So the coach wants to practice. Mm-hmm. And I also want the practice, but I want the practice during the morning. So we fly at the evening, we sleep in everywhere, in whatever, and then we have to take a plane the next morning. So what you have to manage is sleep, food,
and hydration,
and practice.
And
practice. Yeah, and hydration. Yeah, because the coach wants to practice.
Yeah.
And this, for me, one of the best things that we are doing during the last years is the walkthrough.
Mm-hmm.
The walkthrough for me is the great weapon for us. You can tell the coach, hey, today is a very good day to do a walkthrough. We have fly for 8 hours, 10 hours. So let's do some good warm-up, some mobility, some exercise, and then all the tactical thing you can do it with walkthrough, not tape it, and we can go to the hotel to rest.
So usually after traveling, if you travel during the day and you arrive to your destination in the afternoon or in the evening and you have to do the practice, that would be definitely a walkthrough, no tape practice.
If we have a game next day, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking like you travel to, I don't know, as you said, Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, and then...
But we try to practice during the morning.
Okay, yes.
To do a practice, yeah.
Exactly. So that was my question. When you travel and you practice there, usually it's no tape practice, just walk through. So after traveling, more focus on just move around, do good mobility, move around with the ball just to set the place, shoot a little bit, and that's it. Perfect. And then if you have the chance that flight is not at 10 as you said, but flight is at 1 or 2, in the morning you would practice, then in the morning you would still do some kind of tape practice, or it would be also be without like tape?
Before
travel?
Before the travel, yes, tape.
Tape, okay.
Tape.
Okay, perfect. Oh, so it's a good way to communicate with coach, and I think players like it, because all of your traveling is pretty long, so after traveling more than 4, 5, 6 hours, there is a great risk to do tape practice.
Well, there is an important thing in professional sport, that we cannot waste the time. So if we have a practice, I think we can do it, but we have to take less risk as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's necessary to do a hard practice, tape it 5-on-5, running like crazy after 8 hours of flight or 8 hours of traveling. I think it has more risks than benefits.
Yes, and then eventually it's always a big question: what is the motivation of players and focus of players to do something, and what is the later the possibility to remember the things that you did. Many players will just do this practice physically, but mentally
they are in the hotel.
Yes, they are already in the hotel, eating dinner or sleeping, or having treatment with physio.
With physio.
But they're definitely not on the court.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also before the flight, we have started this year with a protocol that we send them to the players. That is, during the flight, they have to walk or have a walk by the aisle each hour if they are not sleeping. It's not mandatory, but it's just a suggestion.
Just not to be with iPad and the phone for 3 hours.
So these drinks that I told you before, some stretching also. There are some things that we suggest. It's not mandatory, but if they are not sleeping and they can have a walk or whatever, go to the bathroom, talk with a colleague or whatever, it will be good for them.
Excellent. I really like it. So when it comes to, let's say, protocols, you would make some kind of in-flight protocol that doesn't have to be mandatory, but it's offered to players, because there is complete sense to do it when it comes to both physical and in the end it's also mental performance. I wanted to ask you one more thing before we finish the topic of traveling. After the flight or after a long travel, because sometimes maybe you would fly to Barcelona and then you would take a 3-hour bus ride to Andorra, it's not always flight. It's sometimes flight and combination of flights and buses. Do you have some protocol in the hotel if you arrive, for example, to your destination and you will not go to practice because you practiced this morning, but trip was pretty exhausting, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of traveling? Would you do something with the team? Would you make something mandatory, or would you do something individually?
We have an activation all together in a big room. It's not. Yeah, we ask to the hotel for a big room or conference room with no table, and there we sometimes we have done some games there, like children. Yeah, and they have a good. They have there a good time, and after this we have a protocol with dynamic stretching, hip mobility and spine mobility, and also who wants, this is not mandatory, it's who wants can take the foam roller and do some foam rolling. Yeah, but I think the stretching, the mobility is very important for them after being seated in cramped position, after being without movement there in a chair.
Basically locked, especially big guys. You know.
Yeah, they are locked.
Even they have like emergency exit seats. Yeah. It's still pretty tough.
Yeah. So, and not only with this, it's only just to be seated for 8 hours. It's very tough for them, as you said.
Perfect. Do you invite also coaches and coaching staff to join stretching, or it's only for players?
Only me and the physios. Me and the physios, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have done some games like children. Yeah, I told you it's very funny. They spend a very good time.
I mean, they are professional players, but they still play the game. At least they should play the game for fun. You know, it's their job, but everyone likes to compete. Everyone likes to have fun. So whatever can bring a smile on your face in the team environment, I think it's priceless. You know, so the more fun you have, the better team performance will be. Fun is contagious, and it can only bring good stuff, positive stuff. So I think it's always good to think about it. Excellent. Next topic that I promised that we're going to talk about is stability training. I would like to hear a little bit your opinion. How do you see stability concept as part of your training, and to explain us a little bit briefly your philosophy, your approach to stability? You know, some coaches would say stability, that's part of my strength training, and so on. So I would like to hear your opinion about it.
Yeah, for me, stability training is part of my strength training. But it's true that I don't do it during the strength session or the strength workout. Okay, we used to do it always before each practice. So we have a very important focus, that is hip and core stability, and after this, before some tests, we look for or we like to check ankle, knee and shoulder stability. And each player has their own workout each day. But it's an individual workout. If we have seen that there is a player who has problems in shoulder stability, so he will have his shoulder routine or for his shoulder stabilizers exercise. Also for knee and for ankle, but almost everybody does or do the hip and core stability. For me, there is something that I call or full body stability. We are talking now about balance. Balance. I think the static balance is the first step that for me is very important, the balance, because during the games or during the practice you can take a shoot, you can receive a hit or somebody push you. You have to keep the balance or recover your balance again. Mm-hmm. So I like to start with the players doing static stability. After this, when they can do it well, we go to the next step, that is the dynamic stability. Mm-hmm. And we finish with unexpected situations stability. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe there is I don't know, jumping and landing with single leg landing, and I can push him, so he has to land with single leg, but with this perturbation. Perturbation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Perturbation. Yeah. It's, so we're talking about joint stability, and mm-hmm. but also I like to put in this area the balance, because I think everything is connected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So it's very closely related to strength training. So before we move, that's why I wanted to ask about stability before we go to strength, because I know a little bit your philosophy of work. That's why I also asked it, but I think it's important to connect these two fields. And before we start talking about strength and your exercises and the way how you organize the work, I think it's important to see what is the foundation for that strength. So basically, for you, the foundation, if I understood well, was do some isolated work for core and hip stability. Yeah. Some of the players will have their individual problems when it comes to shoulder stability or knee stability, foot stability. You know, you will put it all together through static balance into dynamic balance, and then basically when you reach dynamic balance, you already you can start talking about strength training, because how you move weights, it's like, I guess, I know that you use a lot of Versa pulley work and a lot of dumbbells in three-dimensional movements, so this is more or less dynamic environment. Now, what is the difference from what you said? A lot of time dynamic environment of strength training is not that much unpredictable, but then you said that you also, for stability, you put some unpredicted movements, so you can build the whole system. Excellent.
Also about joint stability, or this, it's not joint stability, but with the test we have checked, for example, that some players have the ankle instability or knee instability. What we are using right now is like a traffic light. In the red light we have the work that he has to do almost every day. Orange one is the work that he has to do 3 or twice a week. Mm-hmm. And the green one is work that he just we think that with once a week is enough. Mm-hmm. So me, Danny, my colleague from here, and the physio have all the information.
Excellent. So we have some kind of individual programs on the wall with those lights, with those like.
Yeah, we have it in paper. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we put it on the wall.
In colors.
Yeah. And also sometimes maybe one have a low back pain during the week because of a flight or whatever. So this goes straight to the red light.
Excellent. I really like the concept.
Yeah. No. It's very easy. It's very easy. But everybody understand it.
Yes.
Everybody red every day. That you come to the weight room or to the court. Orange or yellow, twice or three times, and green only once.
I mean, we always use these traffic lights for various things to explain to coaches our training intensity, training duration. Then you have players who are overloaded or underloaded, but this is the first time actually that someone put traffic lights inside of corrective or activation programs, which I really like. I really like the idea. I'm really happy that we shared.
Have copyright, huh?
Okay, perfect. How much do you charge? 100 euros. 100 euros for using traffic lights in your programs. We will send you in the link below the bank account.
Bank account, yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, so let's start to talk about strength. I know that I think I'm going to talk with every strength and conditioning coach about this topic, because there is never enough information about strength training, because every coach, even though they have like similar philosophies, they will do some things different, or at least the organization in the gym, or how many times they do it per week, or they have similar philosophy on exercise selection, but then one coach likes microdosing, the other coach likes long hard sessions and so on. So let's talk a little bit about strength, like from the beginning. How would you explain your strength training?
Okay. First of all, for me, strength is the main facility of the main physical ability. Sorry, and I think for you too. But so, and I like to work strength almost every day. And I like if my players come to the weight room almost every day. Even they have work, not mandatory always, sometimes mandatory, almost every day. Okay, so how I work? First of all, I analyze basketball and what we have in basketball. We have jumps, so we have to work in the vertical vector. We have displacement, where you have acceleration, deceleration, change of directions. So we have to work in the horizontal vector. Also, we have to fight with our opponent for a rebound, to take the position. So we have to be strong enough to take the position, or to do all the things. And also, you have to have the ability to shoot or to dribble with the ball. So I try to do these things in the weight room, but I think it's in a different way. I take, for example, for a vertical vector, I have the main exercise are squat, step up. Yes, and from this we develop this exercise by increasing the resistance or the difficulty of the exercise. Okay, for example, for displacement, the main exercise is the lunge, and after this we have the evolution of the lunges. Have forward, lateral, diagonal, back lunges. Resistance come from forward, from backward. So and more upper body, more static situations, mainly for big guys. Static, I mean isometric exercise, and upper body actions of press and pull are the main actions. So if this is clear, so how I do the workout. I used to work in 3 sequence exercises. Okay, the main one that we have talked right now. Then I use a compensatory or complementary exercise. For example, if I do squat or something related to squat. I use as compensatory hip thrust or bridge and devolution of this exercise, and at the end, depending where we are in the session, application exercise or prevention exercise. But what I'm doing this year, or some years before also, I'm combining them. For example, if we are with the main exercise, the squat, compensatory single leg bridge, for example, and then after I can put as application exercise single leg jump to a box, and then you have to land in a single leg in the floor or in a
unstable
surface. Yeah, and I only use, for example, this is the 3 seconds exercise. So the second 3 seconds exercise is going to be evolution from the first one. So I don't do twice the same exercise. You understand? Yeah. So maybe we have a regular squat, but I don't used to do a lot of squat, but it's the easiest example. And the evolution can be what else? Split squat, example, single leg. Okay, then we can have as compensatory exercise, for example, deadlift, single leg deadlift also for the back chain, and the evolution of the application exercise could be single leg jump, single leg landing, and maybe you have to land again to the unstable surface, receiving a pass. So you have to have the focus from of the ball also. Okay, so this is some general or my general workout. So also we have divided another 3 sequence exercise, one for the small guys and another different for the big guys, that maybe we do 1 or 2 3 seconds exercises. Mainly for the small guys, it focuses in change of direction, acceleration, deceleration, and for the big guys, it's more focusing contact, like putting on a screen or just taking the position like the king or something like this. And we also do the same, the main exercise, the complementary or compensatory, and the application exercise. I never remember application exercise. Yeah. So
it's just adjusting the movement patterns.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Movement patterns, and at the end of the season, we finish the session. Or the workout. We finish with individual workouts. Yeah, mainly focuses in the weak points or the main risk of injuries. So maybe in one workout they do 3, it's maybe 12 or 15 different exercises in 40 minutes.
Well, it's very demanding to write everything down, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to preparation of these practices.
I'm always 2 hours before the start the workout. Yeah, I'm always 2 hours, because we think now this year I have the help of my colleague.
It's 2 guys.
Two guys.
It's very demanding.
Yeah, he's focused more in their individual workout. I'm focused more in the big guys, small guys, and the general workout for everybody. Yeah, but I think it's very motivated also for the players, because they don't repeat the same exercise twice in one day. So the next time that they are going to do it is going to be a little bit difficult.
Excellent. I like the concept. And when it comes to, for example, if someone needs hypertrophy, young guy or some guy who lost, for example, some muscle mass during summertime, when he gets back, for sure you will follow your concept because you believe in it and it's something that's going to bring the most success when it comes to physical performance. But for example, someone needs hypertrophy. When would you put the volume of work, especially like, for example, upper body?
Upper body, we can do it in the individual part.
Yes.
And we also do it before, because this is when we work all together. What I have explained to you is when we work all together. That I like to do it once a week. Once a week. And so also we send them, the players, a personal workout to do before each practice. And so if someone needs hypertrophy, as you told me, he has to do it before they practice the days that I put hypertrophy. Yes, I don't want him to do it before a game or in a game day. No? So that's the way how we work. But mainly this workout that is not some that maybe we have the big one that is mandatory, but we used to do 2 or 3 more mandatory. But these 2 or 3, the second and the third one are shorter, are 20-25 minutes, no more. And
like a little bit longer preparation for practice.
Yeah. It's just
strength activation.
Yeah, strength activation. Also some mobility drills, that stuff. And if someone have other necessities like hypertrophic or whatever, or maybe physical conditioning, we do it before.
Excellent. Last question about the strength part. I want to discuss a little bit the Versa pulley or the eccentric overload equipment. Here in Spain, it's very popular to do with Versa pulley. How often do you use it with your players? For what exactly do you use it, and where do you find it the most effective?
Okay, I love Versa pulley. But because you can work in the 3 dimensions of the space, this is the main thing, and for me it's like a huge plyometric. Yeah. So the question is really good, because when can you use it? It depends a lot if the player get used to work with it. Excellent. Because the main problem that it has is the muscle damage. So, and now I'm using less than years before, but I'm starting using little by little. And I like to use micro stimuli before the practices. And the exercise or the drills that I used to do is lunges, accelerations, first step, cross step, and that stuff. For me are the best exercise to do. Even we use the ball while dribbling, while passing, passing or dribbling while we are using the Versa pulley. So, but the main thing is the player has to get used to work with it, because and also the microstimuli, because the volume of using it and the speed of doing the exercise are the main things that can create or can create muscle damage. So I like to do in high speed, but he have to work 3, 4, or 5 times before at high speeds.
Exactly.
And during the season, with 2 games a day, when do you use it?
Yeah.
If it's not to get used, this is the problem.
Exactly.
But years before, we even use it days or in the days, game days, or almost every day. But the stimuli was only to exercise, maybe step forward, accelerating, 4 times with the right, 4 times with the left, or 4 times open, 4 times cross, and
that's it.
It was enough.
Excellent. I really like it. I think it's a very valuable piece of equipment. I think beside the regular iron barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, from this piece of equipment on the wall you can benefit so much, because you can play with speed, with force, with so many different variables, and then different angles, as you said. And then if you have some special gadgets like the pole on the wall, or you have the plate on the ground, you can play with squats, with split squats, you can play with upper body movements. It's basically so many exercises that you can use and apply with.
For example,
players.
for the exercise that I like more analytic is the hamstrings kick. Because if you use it, you can focus the work whenever you want. If you bend your knee more or less, you can focus the work where you want. Yeah, this is and some players are using now this year once a week, and they like it a lot.
Yeah, perfect. Especially because now the latest models of Versapoly come with encoder that you can connect with one cable with your computer or even iPad.
You can see the power,
peak power output, so it can become your Kaiser machine, for some players who like to see the number and power output. So, and even you can use it for testing, it can be a objective type of.
We have used it for testing more with injured people than
to see the asymmetries.
Yeah, symmetries and that stuff.
Yeah, perfect, excellent. That's a great point. Let's start with the last topic in this main part, and it's related to training periodization during the in-season. I'm very, very happy for you that you are now with a coach who wants your support, wants your knowledge, wants to use your experience, and as you said, you are the main person who is in charge for making the weekly plan or a monthly plan, but we can talk now focus on the weekly plan, because monthly plan, even if you prepare it changes so often, because you have injured player or you don't have injured player, then you have to change one travel, and then maybe the league will change the date of the game because of the TV rights and so on. So usually when we talk about the periodization, it's usually week by week, sometimes 2 weeks in advance if you have challenging moment of playing more competitions and so on. But let's focus on the weekly plan. What is your experience with it? How do you see it during the season? Now we're going to talk about elite basketball in Europe, which considers at least 2 games per week. So let's hear your thoughts about it.
Okay. First of all, I used to plan only 1 week, but the second week I write it down only the days of practice, but I don't write down the load of the practice. So, or what the coach have to do. Okay, I just write down in the second week. I want to practice Monday morning. Tuesday we have game. Wednesday recovery, and at that time or whatever. Yeah, but for a week, our regular week now with 2 competitions is, if we we play, let's see the next week, okay? We play tomorrow night, Sunday night. Monday we will have a walkthrough and recovery practice in the evening. Then we have a game again here at home on Tuesday. And Wednesday we will have not mandatory practice, okay? Or day off, they can choose. Because we play again on Sunday, I think. Yeah, on Sunday. So we have at least 2 or 3 practices. Because if we rest on Wednesday, we have practice Thursday, Friday, yeah, Saturday morning here, and we fly to Madrid in Saturday afternoon. So 3 days is more than enough to prepare again. So that's why we have we're gonna give the Wednesday off or a voluntary practice. Okay, so that is how we used to practice. Sorry, I didn't talk about Thursday, that we used to do a very long practice. We start with weight room, video, and practice. Friday we have non-mandatory weight room, video, and practice. And Saturday, I don't know yet if mandatory or non-mandatory weight room, video, and practice. Okay.
Sometimes it also depends, like this Saturday, even though you want to put mandatory strength, but there is maybe not enough time because you have to arrive to the airport.
Yeah.
So you might need to change it.
Yeah, I don't remember what time do we fly, but it's.
But usually it's like if you have 3 days before the game to prepare the game and to practice. Usually 3 days before it's going to be long hard training session and lifting. 2 days before it's going to be a little bit easier basketball practice with lifting, either mandatory or not mandatory, depending on what is 1 day before the game.
The 3 days before the game, we used to do more extensive practice. More extensive practice. 2 days is more intensive practice, and the day before is tactical practice. Is how I call them. And why? I'm going to explain it. I give every day to the coach times of practice. I mean, we're going to do warm up, 20 minutes, for example, 15 minutes, whatever. But we're going to work in half court, 20 minutes. Half court plus 1 fast break, 25 minutes. And half court plus 2 fast break, 10 minutes, for example. So this is a intensive practice because the main things is half plus 1, half court plus 1 fast break, and it's about 40 seconds. 20 and 20 more or less. So, and if the main work is in the half plus 2, we call it extensive practice, and if the main things is in half court, we call it tactical practice.
I like it. I like the terminology, and I think it's important for people to understand what is
easy, like the
it's
like the
easy.
traffic light.
Yeah, exactly.
You're learning a lot about me.
No, I think it's a really nice concept because it will not confuse head coaches. You know. So I think that's the key. That's the key. Everybody have to talk the same language. Keep it simple. So you can understand each other in every moment. Perfectly. Okay. Excellent. I really like the concept. I mean, it's pretty similar to what we have. Usually we have EuroLeague games on Thursday or Friday when we play 2 games. So usually if we can give Monday off after Sunday game, for example, Monday, if it's possible, we will have off, and then we will have 3 days to prepare the EuroLeague game, and then in between EuroLeague and ACB game there is only 1 day usually where we do some kind of walkthrough or 5-on-0, maybe some light contact, depends on the game that was night before. and if we travel or not, or we stay at home. But usually the 3-day sequence is more or less similar. I always try to push guys 3 days before the game to lift, second day or like 2 days before the game also, and then I give them optional 1 day before the game. And usually a lot of players actually come because you don't push them. So maybe 2-3 players will do some longer activation and preventive things that they really want to do, but majority of the guys will lift. You know, I also believe
not mandatory practice for me are coming at least 10 players. At least 10 players.
Yeah, because they know that you will not push or do some crazy stuff, or if you need to change, you will listen to them, and I think that that's the whole point. If you want to work, if you show that you enjoy being in the gym and that you're not looking at the watch like what time you're gonna go home, players will come because they want your help, you know, and they know that you will not bust their asses every day when they come to the gym. Sometimes it's gonna be light, sometimes it's gonna be a little bit harder, and we are both true believers of microdosing during the season, so you don't push players to get too sore and to get too tired through lifting, especially with coaches that like to practice quite hard. You know, you have to respect also what is happening on the court. So I think like for all of the strength and conditioning coaches, especially young coaches who truly believe in their work, but on the other hand they have head coaches who really like to have tough practices, they need to understand if they want to keep physical performance of players at a high level, they have to do something about strength. They cannot kill players in the same way like head coach works on the court, because this is priority. So maybe if you do a little bit of less, exactly, he's the boss. And then if you do a little bit less, sometimes the performance can be much better, you know. So this is one of the things to understand.
This is the key. It's better to do less work than very much.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
It's better being less. Yeah.
Yeah. The most important thing is that it doesn't happen that head coach is going super crazy, that at some point you have to drop all of the strength work and then you cannot do anything in the gym. But if this part is balanced more or less, you know, you can also balance this part of strength in the same time. Excellent. I really like all the ideas that you shared with us, and your knowledge. I think this practical part is super important, and this is the thing that interests the most, not only young guys but also experienced guys, because as you said, you can talk with Diego from Malaga, or you can talk with Juan Trapero from Madrid, and even though you're experienced and they're experienced, you can always hear something new, and you can get some new ideas. And as you said, sometimes in the summer we would change our rosters drastically, sometimes super drastically like you did this season, and then everything what you build in the last 2-3 seasons with players who knew your philosophy of work, now you have to start all over again. And then you have also some new ideas that you would try to implement. So it's never-ending process of just bringing new stuff on the table.
And if you keep in touch with your colleagues, maybe Diego, for example, I had to call him because we had 3 new players from Malaga. I called you I saw you in pre-season and we talked about Marcelinho. So this is the key. We have to help each other.
Exactly. And this is first step. Like if you can get the information about the player from trusted source before the player arrives to the club, and then you start talking to him by knowing his background from his previous coach, this is first step to build trust and to build confidence, because he will know that you are holding his back and that you have interest in knowing this player. And this is the first step, you know. I really like the point, and I really like that you mentioned it. Okay, before we go to the last part, let's take a short break for
Second
water.
one.
Second one, and then we finish.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to the last part of today's episode with Xisco from Tenerife. This last part I'm going to use just to ask you some simple questions, and the first one is going to be, what would you do if you were not strength and conditioning coach?
What would I do? It's a difficult question, but probably something related with sport or with health, physiotherapist, doctor, or nutritionist, something like this. But as I told you before, I love what I do, so I cannot see myself doing another thing.
Excellent. I like it. I like it. We talked briefly about the plans for future. So you can tell me, next 2-3 years, do you see yourself staying in elite basketball or moving more to private business, if you have any plans?
I don't have any plans, but I would like to keep in professional basketball, even here in Tenerife, because I think we are improving and growing year by year, and I think that I can help the team and the club to keep growing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We talked now. I didn't know actually that it happened this summer, and I'm super happy that not only you're doing the strength and conditioning job, you decided that from this season you're going to take even more responsibility when it comes to organization of work in the club. So basically you are beside your regular strength and conditioning coach role, you're organizing the team of medical service and then physical performance service. So basically the club recognized the importance of physical performance and of having one person like you are to organize everyone who is
social skills.
Yes. So we know now that you have the real social skills that needed for management of people, and then of course you have the knowledge to do your strength and conditioning work. So I think if you started this job, organizing the team, managing the team this season, I think it's going to be a very promising project in the next years, right?
Thank you very much. I hope so. But I think that's necessary in all the teams. Yeah, maybe in small team like we are, or although we are growing, but I think we are still a small team. It's necessary a person who organizes all the work from the medical staff and coaches. Yeah, and even more important is the communication between everybody. So I'm like the link between both areas.
Exactly. I like how you say the link, because nobody talks anymore, especially on the team, about bosses. You know, being boss to this guy, being boss to this guy. No, you're just managing people, and you are the first responsible for everything what is happening around. You give your support to everyone. You're trying to link people, to communicate well, not to forget communicating, because sometimes there is a problem only because of the lack of communication. People stop talking, and then out of a sudden we have a problem. So try to motivate and encourage people to talk, to communicate, so everything can stay healthy.
I'm trying to introduce everybody in the system. You know, everybody can talk, everybody can say what they think, everybody can take an opinion about some treatments or whatever, and we discuss between all of us. I talk with the coach, or we talk all together. For example, if there is someone injured and we have to take a decision if he plays or not plays, or whatever. And so I think it's It's as you said, it's not the boss, but it's the person who everybody talks to. No, so I can send the message to the doctor, to the coaches, or.
Excellent. Well, some people would say that it's a position of a director of performance or director of physical performance. Some would use the head of physical department.
Health and performance, yeah.
But it doesn't matter what the title is. The most important thing is that you have this responsibility, and that behind your responsibilities there is a sound and healthy system. I think that's something that everyone should look for. Doesn't matter about your financial situation in the club, because responsibility comes from human work.
Yeah.
We don't need machines or investments to have system very well organized. I like it. Last question before we finish. Even though you shared with us so many great things that young people can put into their practice and keep their minds going, what else would you like to add to what you said to us in order to support and to encourage young strength and conditioning coaches?
Okay, to get to be in an elite team as a strength conditioning coach is not a process of one day. It's a process of many years. I didn't get ACB till 15 years finishing my studies, so it's not something from a day. So they have to keep learning, they have to keep improving, they have to listen, because young people nowadays they don't listen your advice or people who has more experience than them.
Do you think that's the main problem with young guys?
Yes, it could be, because they have they have more possibilities than us. They have internet, YouTube. They can read. They can watch videos. They can get almost everything. But they nowadays they don't have the experience, so they have to listen the people who has experience. Because I think that I have learned more from my experience than from my knowledge. Knowledge, obviously, is a key factor. It's the foundation. Yeah, it's a key factor. But experience, I think it's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think I honestly believe that knowledge and good social skills will put you in the game. But then what's going to keep you in the game is going to be even more of social skills, your energy, your behavior, communication with other people. So I think that's very, very nice thought that you said. Okay, excellent. I really enjoyed this. I think we are around 2 hours talking, and there is going to be a very, very small amount of cutting the video, because
I don't know.
I honestly believe that it was really, really nice episode, that we covered some interesting topics. As always, as I said, strength we can always repeat, because you can always learn something new. Even talking about stability, I like the traffic lights. That's the thing that now comes to my mind first.
This is good
when I think about this interview. But I'm gonna watch it at least 10 times while I'm gonna edit it. So it's going to be definitely a good episode, and I'm really happy that we found time to
I'm
do
very
it.
happy too.
Thanks once again.
Very happy. Thanks to you.
Gracias, amigo.
Gracias a ti.
Genial. Perfecto. ¿Qué ahora? ¿Cervecita?
¿Quieres una cañita o qué?
¿Por qué no? Si tenemos tiempo.
Sí.
Hay que ver. Hostia, 11:30.
11:30.
Pues vamos a ver.